I got into dance when a friend of mine started dancing, and I wanted to join her. So I started taking class and really loved it and caught on to it pretty quickly. And at a really young age, got into an apprentice company in Florida. It was called Southern Ballet Theater at the time. And from there, they brought in a guest teacher. His name was Russell Solzbach. He was a former member of the Joffrey Ballet, and he was there doing some guest teaching, and saw me and called the Joffrey School, called Edith Daddario and said, you have to see this young dancer. And they brought me up to New York for the summer intensive when I was 14, sort of sight unseen on scholarship. Very briefly, that's how I got involved with the Joffrey.
Around about that time that I was ready to make a move to New York, I had become aware of Robert Joffrey, even personally. I had sort of encountered him on tours with National Ballet, and he seemed he had his finger everywhere. He was always aware of who was out there in the world. And Joffrey called me. He said, "Listen, why don't you come down here and formally audition? Let me offer you. What do you think about coming here and dancing?" And I did a formal audition, and he accepted me and gave me a contract. And I had the balls to say, I really want to talk with Lucia Chase before I accept this. And he was very gracious. His face got tight and then soft, and then he went, "Okay." And I couldn't get in to see her. It was the day of Mikhail Baryshnikov's premiere. And I waited outside that stage door all night long until she came out, and I told her, "Listen, I've been offered a contract with Joffrey, but my first choice was always ABT." And she said, "I think you should take it." So I took Joffrey's contract, and after 4 years of being there, I realized it was the best thing that I could have done for my artistic development and my personal development.
I was an attendee at all the regional festivals at which Bob Joffrey taught. He used to go there on talent hunt. And he saw me over the years, and he probably didn't think much of me because I was always big for my age. And then one year he found out that I was really only 15. It just looked like I was 25. And next thing I knew, I had an apprenticeship. And that was when the company, of course, had gone through the transition from Harkness.
Ballet theater didn't work out when I came to New York, and so I went to Mr. Joffrey. And so I took classes there, 2 classes a day. I can remember going into the office one day and saying to Mrs. Daddario, "I can pay for 1 more week advance, and if I don't have a job, I have to go back. I just don't have any more money." She said, "Well, I understand." So I paid a week in advance, and a couple of days later, then I was called into Joffrey's office, and he said, "Well, I'm gonna hire you. We're going on a 10-week bus tour, one-night stand bus tour, in January. I think it was late January, if I remember." And so I said, "Oh, that's great. I just paid in advance for my studies for a week. Could I get that money back?" "No, you can't." All right. And I was very happy to be working in the company, but he said he would not pay me until we went on tour.